Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnyLipshamstudios.co.uk. I hope everybody is doing fantastically well and has had a great week. We have just about recovered from Storm Eowyn. Let's just say it was not really that much fun. Fortunately, we got away with pretty much very, very minimal damage that was very easy to fix. Nothing like terribly major. So we kind of got away with it. There were people that we actually know who did not fare nearly as well as we did. Some friends of ours actually lost their roof. Their roof basically came right off entirely. So they will not be able to get back into their home for probably the better part of a month. So they are currently in a hotel, and my friend has a temporary office set up in the hotel room. And the hotel have very graciously allowed him to use their internet for free, which is very kind of them. I know a lot of hotels offer free Wi-Fi, but not all of them do. But they are being put up in the hotel for free as well. So, they're not paying anything for being in the hotel. So they're going to be in the hotel for probably the better part of a month. So not a great deal of fun for them. But we really didn't have any real serious damage at all. But internet was patchy, to say the least. Cell phone service was sketchy as well, didn't really work. So trying to actually do any work during the time that the storm was kind of passing over Scotland was pretty much impossible. I didn't really get a whole lot done. So this week I'm going to have to kind of catch up with a whole bunch of things. So, however, my colleagues in Ireland have fared a lot worse than I have. They have no power still, and they have no internet, and they have no cell phone service. They have been, they're in quite a bad way. Their homes are okay. But the Presonus Europe office has a little bit of minor structural damage. So nobody can go in the office at the moment, and there's no power there anyway, and there's no internet, and there's no cell phone service there either. So it looks like, in terms of Europe, the Europe office is going to be here for at least the foreseeable future, for probably the next week at least. So yeah, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to keep me on my toes, keep me busy. But that's that. So an eventful weekend, eventful Thursday and Friday as well. So we spent basically the weekend doing basically a tour of the entire development, and basically seeing if anybody had any damage or needed any assistance or any help or anything. And we all got away with very, very minor damage. So nothing major to report. We got lucky. We got very lucky, because winds here on this street gusted up to 92, 93 miles an hour. So it was very, very intense, and sustained wind speed was over 70. So it was very, very intense and a little bit scary at points. There were times where I thought the window, which is behind the camera here, was just going to get blown out or sucked out by wind pressure. But fortunately, didn't happen. But yeah, it got a little bit frightening at times. But we're safe, we're fine, we're well, and nobody is hurt, and we're still here in this studio. So, to be fair, I didn't know when we got to kind of the end of Friday. I had no idea whether I was going to be able to do a Sunday show or not, because I didn't know whether internet was going to be sorted or not. But we are good for internet. It's running as normal, which is great. But yes, it was a bit touch and go there. So that's kind of the story from here. So tonight's show is all about you guys and your Studio One questions and how you use Studio One. So let's get into that. So if you have questions or you have a point of concern about Studio One, then let's get those posted in the chat, and I would be very happy to answer those and do any demonstrations that you might need of a certain feature. If you would like to see that, I can do that. Because that's what this show is all about. So if you are a subscriber, thank you very much for being subscribed. It means you're able to write in the chat. If you are not yet a subscriber and you would like to say hello, you're watching, but you'd like to say hello, or you'd like to ask a question, you need to subscribe. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, select all notifications. That way, you're not going to miss anything that I've got coming over the course of the next 11 months. And really, there is a lot coming. A lot of videos, a lot of new things to show you. So I'm very excited for that. Kyle says, disappointed no announcements at NAMM. I mean, just because there were no announcements doesn't mean that there's nothing coming. It's just that, you know, we like to keep you guys on your toes. We like to keep you guys guessing as to what's going to come. So, yes, so that's kind of what NAMM was all about. And to be fair, it was our first one back after a 5-year hiatus. So at the end, basically 2020 was the last one that we did. And the decision was taken that during the pandemic that we should just concentrate on doing virtual trade shows and that kind of thing. And so that's what we did. Both Presonus and Fender jointly did that. And so it was decided that this year we should return, seeing as it was, you know, we kind of did wonder whether NAMM would actually still be a thing, to be honest, after the pandemic. We thought that it might be something that was just no longer relevant, something that was just no longer important. Turns out we were wrong about that, because it is. It's obviously still very popular. As has been seen by not just the number of manufacturers that were there at NAMM, but also the number of people that were there as well. And it's not that easy to get credentials to be able to attend. It's not the easiest thing. It's not the easiest thing to be able to get into, unless you're involved in like media, or you are a YouTuber with some significant clout, like Joe Gilder is, because, you know, his channel has probably 250,000 subscribers, maybe more than that now. I'm pretty sure he's over 250,000 subscribers, which is, you know, that's decent weight. And so he has a decent audience. So it kind of makes sense that he's able to get credentials, seeing as, you know, he does not actually work for Presonus anymore. But he does still create content for our YouTube channel. As you've seen, he's still making videos for us. But yeah, he's not actually an employee anymore. He's more of a contractor nowadays. Which I think probably works out better for him. It makes it easier for him to carry on running Home Studio Corner as well. So, there is that. It's not the easiest thing to get into. Warren Hewitt he has launched some actual hardware gear, which took me a little bit by surprise. I knew he was working on a few things, that he was very excited about. And I knew that he was involved in development of some hardware. I didn't know that it was actually going to be specifically his hardware products. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. For those of you that are still followers of Rick Nagby, formerly of Presonus, now of SSL, they have some new hardware gear that's just been released and unveiled as well, and they were showing off their Origin console and a few other bits and pieces. And of course, it's the 50th anniversary of Harrison as well. Harrison consoles. So, of course, Harrison, Slate Digital, and SSL, those three companies are kind of like the largest brands in the Audiotonics group, because they were all acquired more or less around the same kind of time, around about 2022, 2023. And so they are now part of the Audiotonics group, which is pretty cool for them. And what's quite entertaining is the fact that John Bastianelli, formerly also of Presonus, he was the senior vice president of product development, so product management and that kind of thing. He was overseeing product management in general at Presonus for I think maybe 14 years or so, and he was appointed the CEO of Slate Digital when Stephen Slate sold the company to Audiotonics. And so John Bastianelli, formerly of Presonus, at Slate Digital, SSL, and Harrison become part of the same group. And so now we have Rick and we have John, who are basically working for essentially the same company, which I find very entertaining. I didn't see that John was there at the Slate booth. I don't even know if Slate actually had a booth there this year. But yes, Rick was there. And Rick was doing some live streams for the SSL YouTube channel, and for their Instagram as well. So he was quite a busy boy, and they took home some awards, it would seem, which is pretty cool for them. Let's see, Rob Kane was also there, and our own Nate was there as well. And I believe he was supposed to interview Warren. I don't know whether that was successful or not, because I know Warren was pretty busy. And Rob Kane was there. Rob was at the unofficial Studio One meetup that took place at NAMM. And Joe and Gregor were there for that. Gregor did some excellent presentations. I saw some clips of his presentation. Really, really good, as you'd expect from Gregor. And there were some presentations on Atmos and the reamping for the Quantum HD interfaces, which is pretty cool. And they did a bunch of giveaways as well. Let's see, Neil says, crazy to hear that Joe Gilder is no longer a Presonus employee. Who does he work for now? He works for himself. He's basically back doing what he's always been doing, which has been Home Studio Corner. I think his intention was, when he took the Presonus gig, was to basically work for Presonus and do the Home Studio Corner thing at the same time. And I don't know. I think maybe it just didn't quite work out for him as he thought that it might. I don't think he could juggle doing the two things at the same time. And so, yes, so he does work for Presonus, but not as an employee. He works as a contractor. So yeah, I don't know that was necessarily particularly announced, and I don't think Joe ever announced it or mentioned it or anything like that. And I think he kept it pretty quiet. So it's been, maybe 3 or 4 years since that actually happened. Yeah. No, maybe 2, maybe 3 years since that happened. So yeah. Okay, let's do what I normally do, which is something I forgot to do, which is see who's here. So we got Billy Morgan, we got Keyman. I know who that is. That's Ron. And he says, what? In B flat, yeah. I hit an A flat there. What? That's what I should have been aiming for. And we got my dear friend and sponsor of Sunday Night Live and Songwriting Simplified, my good friend Louis from Alps Media LLC is in the house. He said he finally remembered it was Sunday and almost time for Sunday Night Live. Louis, my dear friend, so good to have you back. Welcome back, dude. And we got Mike in the Philippines as well here. And we've got Kyle Drajuziak. It will be breakfast time for Mike over in the Philippines. And like I said, we got Neil Thompson. We've got... What else do we have? We got Spin 180 here. We got Dave from Aurora's Boring Alice. Who says that I look like I survived the heavy weather. Yes, I did, and incidentally, whilst the heavy weather was going on, I was playing the Weather Report heavy weather record at the same time because I just thought that would be ironic. And we got Bobby Booth here, we got Rich Cresswell, we got CHDB Music, and we've got Dwayne, and who else do we have? We got Paul Morgan here, we got Don Oliver here, we got Keith from Radio Top Trumpet, we got Just Bob, and I'm going down and down and down and down to see who I've missed, and I have not missed anybody. Hooray! That's good, because I normally do miss at least somebody. So yes, NAMM was probably the big news. And I don't normally actually mention other manufacturers other than PreSonus, because, you know, PreSonus basically is my life, which is probably quite sad to admit, but it's true, because I work for them. But yeah, so NAMM is probably the biggest thing, and I would imagine that it was probably the biggest NAMM event since the end of the pandemic. Although people still are around the world having COVID, there are still lots of COVID cases, although nowhere near as many, and nowhere near as many people are dying of it, but people still are dying of COVID. So worth bearing that in mind. The the virus itself has not disappeared, it's not finally died or anything like that. It's still here, it's still very much among us, in much the same way that Spanish flu from 1918, all these years later, nearly 110 years later, it's still doing the rounds, believe it or not. Yes, there are still cases of Spanish flu that go around the world, because it's still a virus. It is actually a coronavirus, the Spanish flu. And yes, it still does go around the world. And it will be the same with COVID. COVID will continue to just go around the world and do its thing and mutate and infect people. It will keep doing that ad infinitum. Who knows? Coronaviruses are very, 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 very resilient, and they will keep going and going and going and going. But they do weaken as they go. That's one thing we do know about. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any Studio One questions. You've let the cat out of the bag. To be honest, Neil, I thought it was fairly common news. But yeah, he did not make any big announcement out of it. He just it just kind of happened, and I guess he thought, what's the point of announcing it when he's still making videos for PreSonus? You know, and he is still a product specialist for PreSonus. So it's not like his work has changed, it's just his status has changed. That's it. He's still doing the job. It's just that his status as an employee has changed. That's it, really. I don't think there's any I don't think there's any kind of major drama. I don't think he's fallen out with PreSonus or anything like that at all. I don't think there is anything in it, really. I don't think there's a conspiracy or a scandal or anything like that. I think it's just a case of just a change of status. That's it. Okay, Dave. Yeah, Dave, remember, you need to put at Jonny Lipsham Studios if you want to ask a question. That way I can pick a question out. Fortunately, we don't really have anyone asking any questions, so it's a little bit easier. But yes, as Alps Media has done, leading by example, you need to type at Jonny Lipsham Studios before you ask a question, because what that does is that highlights my name in red, and then I know it's a question, and not just you guys chatting amongst yourselves, because I don't want to miss your questions. So, But I will take your question this once. Okay, learn your lesson, Dave. I'm kidding. He says, mention the Atmos in template thing. Once set in template, you can't get rid of it. You can get rid of it, but you need to change how your song is set up. You need to change that. So let me just go and let me just close that song. Go and close. Thank you. And then we'll go new song. And we'll go over here. All right, so I'm in the new song dialog here. Now, you can use the regular templates from over here. So you can click on this one. This one here gives you the option for Atmos and surround. Okay. So if you click on Atmos and I click on OK, I'll keep that. So this is what comes up when you press mix and I close the Atmos renderer. You now have the Atmos renderer next to your main output. Okay, so this is just what happens. Now, if you realize I don't want to do that, you can go up to song and you can go song setup and you can change this. I think you can change this. Hang on. Audio setup. I thought you could change this from here. You can change it to surround, and then if you hit apply and OK, you're in surround mode, but notice how the Dolby Atmos renderer has gone. Now, you're no longer in a stereo song, as I will demonstrate just by creating a track here. But you'll notice that you've got your panners here, and you've got your binaural pan, and you've got your dual pan, and you've got your balance panner. This is the regular panner. But notice how you don't have the Atmos object and bed panners that you would have. So if I go back to song setup, and if I change this to Atmos again, and hit apply and hit OK, and then if I close that sucker there, notice how the panner has changed to this object panner here, rather than what you would normally have. Okay, so this is definitely a distinct difference. Now, if you've gone into this by accident, and you definitely don't want to be either in surround or in Atmos, then the simple solution here is to close the song and don't save. And this is the theme tune song here. And now if I go back over here, if I go new, if you want to create something that is not surround, use the record and mix template. Okay. So if I click on that and if I go, okay, and then if I hit the mix button, notice now that there is no Atmos renderer. Okay. That's gone. If I go to the song setup, if I go into this, it says surround, okay? But you're in stereo mode. You're not in surround, okay? But you can change this to Atmos at any time you want. So I can click on this and I can click on apply and OK. And now my regular song is now an Atmos song. And then if I don't want that, I can go back up here and I can turn that back to surround, and then I can do apply and OK, and that is gone. Okay, so that is how you do that. So if you want to get rid of the Atmos renderer, that's how you do it. Okay, and you'll notice that there's also this spatial audio button as well that you can use, which takes you to exactly the same place. So you can either go song setup, spatial audio tab, or you can go song, spatial audio, and you can turn it on or just leave it set to surround. And the output format should be stereo. So if you want to make sure that your song is a stereo song, then make sure that you have it set to stereo. And the mode can be surround or Atmos. Doesn't really matter. If you put Atmos in here, you're going to get the Dolby Atmos renderer and you'll get the object panners. Okay, if you don't want that, keep it on surround. And you'll be fine. You'll be working in a regular, ordinary stereo format song. Okay, so that should resolve that one for you. Dwayne says, good to see you on the show again. You must be very busy lately. Me, I'm busy at the lounge chair. You lucky person, you. Yes, I have not had maybe the best start to 2025. I have had flu. I had a very, very nasty bout of flu. It was most unpleasant. It was definitely not COVID because I took COVID tests every day and all of them were negative. So it was definitely just regular flu, but it was a particularly nasty strain. There is a nasty strain of flu going around, certainly here in the UK, but I imagine probably elsewhere in the world it's going around as well. But certainly here in the UK, it's not nice. It's not pleasant at all. I mean, it floored pretty much all of us in the house. It started with Anna, and then my wife Kate got it, and then latterly me. And it put me in bed for, I think, 3 days. And I was basically in a darkened room for 3 days. It was like, in that respect, it was like having a migraine, except I couldn't really breathe very well, and I was having the most ridiculous sneezing fits. Like, I was having sneezing fits where I was sneezing maybe 50, 60, 70 times in a row. And that was not particularly fun. Neil says, but your actual very start to 25 was good. No hangover. Yes, the New Year's show. I've left that up, by the way. So if you want some entertainment and you want to see maybe another side of me, as a Scotsman, then you will definitely see that. Because yes, the swear jar was open and it pretty much got filled very quickly. Because I consumed rather a lot of alcohol through the course of the whole day, and then continued to consume rather a lot of alcohol throughout the evening. And then when it came to my show, I was already quite considerably drunk, and I thought, you know what? Why don't I just carry on drinking? I've started, so I'll finish. As the those of you that are in the UK will recognize that little catchphrase. So I just decided, why don't I just carry on drinking? So during the show, I think I got my way through 3/4 of a bottle of champagne. And I had beers as well afterwards. So yes, definitely a little bit on the sweary side, but it was a fun show to do. And I thought, what the heck? Why not? But there will be no sweariness now for the rest of the year. You've had your lot, folks. I'm sorry. That's it. You've had your fill of Scottish sweariness from this Scot anyway. So all right, Paul does have a question. He says, I have a project open, having a brain cramp. That's okay, that does happen. I'm trying to get the session back to its default screen. What do you mean by default screen? We need to be clear about our terminology here. If you are trying to get back to the song page for one of the songs that's in the project, that is actually quite easy. Let's see. Let's see if I can find a project that we could use for this. Not that one. Not that one either. Yeah, we might be able to use this one though. Okay. So if you're in the project page like this, and you have these songs that are in here. Now, none of these are linked apart from Souffre. Souffre is linked to a Studio One song. And you can see that because you have the little icon here that has the Studio One logo, but it also has a wrench there. Now, as I hover over that, look what it says. It says mastering file status/edit song. So if I want to go and change something in that song, I can just click this button. And lo and behold, Souffre has been opened. Okay? And then if I touch anything, in this song that changes it in any way, like I just did, I selected that channel and I turned off the record arm button. Notice now it says save. Okay, so if I now click save, it says yes. That's not what I was referring to. But if I now go back to the project page over here, you'll now see that this wrench is no longer white. It is red. Why is that? It's because this file needs updated. Even though nothing in the audio has changed. All that has changed is the song had its status updated. It was saved again. And so by doing that, the file that is now here in the song page is in the project page is now technically out of date. Technically. Even though the audio has not been touched. Nothing in that song was touched. All I did was select a channel, turn off the record arm button, and that, of course, changed something in the song and meant that I had the option to save it. Now, because I clicked save, it now means that the song and the project are now out of sync with each other. And so the project page, the project version here needs to be updated. So I can click on this guy. It reopens the song. And then what it is doing now, it is doing a new stereo mix down. This is one of the most powerful things about the project page, is that it can do this. So you can be working away on your master. And this only works if the song has been sent to the project page, and therefore the project and the song are linked. If there's no link, if you just brought in a file from an external source, this won't work. But this is one of the most powerful aspects of the project page. If you've done the song in the song page already, when you open it in the project page, these are now linked, which means as you're doing your master, if you find that maybe one of the elements of your mix maybe is out of balance now, as you're doing the mastering, you're going, I think maybe one of these acoustic guitars on the left is a little bit too prominent now. Well, what you can do, rather than trying to futz around, notice I did not swear, I said futz. Neil, I'm watching you. Because I've started to change things, I could just try and find that guitar frequency and then notch it out. The problem is that affects the whole sound of the stereo mix, because I'm affecting the stereo mix. So basically everything that lives in that frequency I notch out is being notched out. And so I may not want that. What I may actually want to do is go back, revisit the song, and turn that acoustic guitar down, or do something to its EQ or something so that it doesn't stick out quite so much. And of course, you can do that by the method that I just showed you. You can reopen the song, change it, save it, and then update the mastering file so you get a stereo mix down of the updated song complete with that change you've just made. It's one of the most powerful aspects of the project page. And no other DAW does this. Not even the almighty industry standard that is Pro Tools doesn't do this. You know, if you're in a Pro Tools session or if you're in a Cubase session and you're using a separate Cubase or Pro Tools session to do your mastering, and you encounter the kind of scenario I've referred to, you have to delete that audio file, reopen the song, change what you need to change, and then bounce it down again, and then re-import it into that mastering session that you've got. Whereas with this, it's much quicker. It's like 2 clicks, essentially. 1 click to save the song once you've made your change, another click to update the mastering file. It's done automatically for you. So this is one of the major advantages of Studio One over every other DAW that is in existence, because none of them do this. So it tells me that it was updated in 35.890 seconds, which is handy to know. And then I can just click on OK. And now you can see that the wrench is now white. And that tells us the project and the song are now synced. And now what I can do is I can go File, Save. And everything is saved. All right, so that is how you go back. Now, if that's not your scenario and you're just trying to go back to a song, any other song that you're working on, everything is done through this Documents button in version 6 and version 7 of Studio One. If you're working in Studio One 5, you will still see the Start, Song, and Project buttons that used to be up the top here. You don't see those in version 6 and 7 because basically what we did for version 6 was we consolidated everything and made it much more smart. So basically you get this Documents button. If you've got multiple documents open, you can see that you have a multiple documents icon. Now, if you right click here, you will see what is open. So I have the project, which is what we're looking at just now, which is why there's a little tick mark next to it. And then I've got these other songs open at the moment. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this one and it opens up. So now I've got this song available. But what if I want to go to a different song? So maybe I want to go to Souffrere. I have finished working with Souffrere, so I'm just going to close it. And now I'm left with the project and this blank song, which I'm also going to close because I don't need this anymore. And I'm not going to save it. And the project. I will keep this open just for a wee minute until I'm absolutely certain that that this answers that question, Paul. Let's see. I'm just going through the chat to make sure that this is answering his question. Where would you be when you open up a session first with track page? Okay, let's just define some definitions here. This is important. It's important that we define things correctly. This is the project page. This is the song page. All right, I have the mixer open. I can close the mixer just like that, and these are all my tracks. Okay, but this is the song page, and this is the project page. Okay, you do everything by this button up here. Okay, I'm hoping, Paul, that answers your question. And I'm looking at the chat on my second screen over here, rather than looking over here. Yes, I have my inputs, outputs at the bottom all overlapping. I'm not quite sure what that means exactly. I need to add the ability to right-click the song in the project page and say ignore change. Maybe. If you don't want there to be a change, then don't save the song. Basically, if you open the song and you're messing about with it, but you don't want the song to change the status in the project page, then don't save the song, just close it, and then the status of the project will remain correct. Okay? That's a simple solution to that. Excuse me, burpy me. For those of you wondering what I'm drinking tonight, I'm drinking Bar's Cola, which Bar is basically a Scottish company. Scottish soft drink company, and this is their version of Coke, and it's actually very tasty, and this show is not sponsored by them at all. But if bars would like to sponsor me, they would be welcome to reach out. Jonny Lipsham, Jonny at JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. Let's see. Oh, my face is hiding the documents button. Thank you, Kyle. Of course it is. Hang on, let me turn off the camera. Doink. So, this is what we have in version 6 and 7. We have the documents button. I'll go over this again because apparently I was covering it. Sorry about that. So, if I right-click this, notice you'll see what songs are open and what projects are open. So, the project we're looking at right now, Instrumental EP. And the song we have open is the Modal Blues, which is the theme song for Sunday Night Live. So, those are the two things that are open. If I had more songs open, you'd see more songs under this song's heading. If I had a show open as well, you'd also see a show open here as well. So you'd see songs, projects, and shows. Okay? So everything's now consolidated under this guy here. So if I want to go back to the Modal Blues, I just click on it like that. Okay? And if I want to go back to my project, I just click like that. Now, there is a shortcut for doing this. I can't remember what it is. But there is definitely a keyboard shortcut for basically being able to toggle between what is what's open, and I can't remember what it is. I wonder if this will help us. I don't even know how to describe this. Back on the options. Yeah, I don't quite know how to describe this exactly. So I don't know. Let's see. It's not automation, I know that much. Let's see if there's like a section on documents. Dolby Atmos. Nope. If somebody knows what that keyboard shortcut is for switching between different open songs, please put it in the chat because I can't remember what it is. And I'm going through this trying to find it. See, I thought it might be here. Document setup, new project, new show, open with options, quit, rename, revert. No, it's none of those. You think the tab key is involved? Yes, I think it might be. I think you might be right. I'm not sure though. Navigation. No, that's to do with navigating through different parts of a song. Save as a new version would do the new trick. Yes, CHDB. Yes, I believe you're right. Save to new version would do the trick. Yes, because you'd be saving a new version of the song, which is not linked to the one that's in the project. Yeah, I'm not finding this anywhere in here, and I am trying to look. I can't remember what the keyboard shortcut is, unfortunately. And I don't want to waste lots of time going through this. Try and find it, to be honest. Toggle, 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 toggle. I thought it might be in these toggles, but it's not. I thought it might be. That's document setup. Neil says he thinks it's Control Tab or Alt or Tab. Okay. Yeah, it might be one of those. Yeah, typing in document just gives me document setup, which I don't think is what I want. All right, we'll cancel that for now, and I'll have a little look around after show and see if I can figure it out. Because I can't think what it is. Anyway, let's see if there is anything else in here. Any other questions? Let's go and have a look. Neil says that was one of my favorite changes in version 6. Super easy to switch between multiple open songs. Yeah, it is. Even if you do it with the mouse, rather than using a keyboard shortcut, it's pretty darn easy to do. And you can have so many songs open at the same time, which is great. Now, granted, I've not used Cubase in about 12 years, but certainly back then, it was pretty much impossible to have lots of different songs open at the same time. So this is great that you can do that. That, you know, as I'm doing a show like this and I need to have multiple different songs open to demonstrate different features and different things, it's really cool that I can do that. And I can toggle between whichever one I need to be in to show whichever thing I need to show. And it's great for making videos as well, because actually when I make my overview videos for like a new version of Studio One, I have 4 or 5 different songs open that have a different thing that demonstrates a different feature that's new to Studio One. I have those open, and then as I'm making my video, I just switch between the songs. And then I do a little bit of editing in post-production to make those look nice and smooth. But yeah. Try Control Tab. Okay, yeah, I will certainly try that and see if that does the job. Let's try Control Tab. Hey, you know what? I think that worked. Yeah, that worked. For those of you that want to see it, it is Control and Tab, which I believe would be Option Tab on a Mac. It's not going to do it now, is it? Hang on. Yep, there we go. So I've flipped through, and now we're on the start page again. So I can go to my recent files. I can go back to my song and go back to the start page. It's one thing it's not doing is it's not going back to the project. There we go. Oh, I wonder if I keep holding the control button. Ah, yes, I can tab through. That's handy. See, this is a feature that I didn't even know was here. I've seen it being done, but never done it myself. So see, even I can learn something about Studio One. And let's put the camera back on. There we go. So, even I can learn something new about Studio One. I've seen it done. I thought that maybe it was just a Mac keyboard shortcut on Macs. I didn't think it was a keyboard shortcut in Studio One in general. I thought that it was just a Mac thing. And I know because I've only ever watched most people doing tutorials on Mac, so I've only ever seen this done on a Mac, and so I thought, oh, maybe it's just a shortcut to open up different things on a Mac. So I never really gave it very much further thought than that on a PC. But yes, Control and Tab does the job. So that is very, very cool. All right, let's go back over here. We do have a few more questions, so I'm going to try and get through those as quickly as I can because we've got about 5 minutes. So thank you for that. That was very, very cool. Yes, so Kyle, thank you very much for finding that keyboard shortcut because that was the correct answer. Thank you. Just Bob says, with AI floating about, it would be cool if Personas had a mic icon like Google to click on and you could ask a question within Studio One to find an answer. That is a cool feature request. I'm not going to deny it. However, the thing that is going to be hard is being able to code that because you'd have to code in voice recognition. You'd have to have that built into Studio One to make that work. It's not just a case of asking AI, it's also having voice recognition software so that it recognizes what you are saying and then opens the correct section of the user manual. And in fact, the user manual is already smart. I mean, you only have to hover your mouse over something and then tap the F1 key and it opens up whatever that is on that particular page. So it opens it up to the right page. But it is a cool idea. Not going to deny it. You need to go make a feature request for that though. And the new feature request place is software-feedback.personas.co. Take two. Software-feedback.personas.com is where you go for that. Let's see. Just Bob says, can you create and save sound sets in Deep Flight 1 and make them available to others to upload? Yes, you can. I believe you can. I have never done it, but I believe you can. You can upload sound sets to Personas Exchange. And Rich Cresswell even says that. He says you can upload these to the Exchange. This is correct. And you can do that with pretty much any Personas plugin, any Personas instrument. Ron says, which Personas hardware purchase gets a complimentary 1-year version with Perpetual at the end? Trying to get a friend on board with Studio One. You will definitely get it with the Quantum HD 8 and the Quantum HD 2. Those will give you a 12-month subscription to Studio One Pro Plus and get you the Perpetual license at the end. However, other interfaces will give you only 6 months of subscription to Studio One Pro Plus, but you don't get the Perpetual license at the end of that. You don't actually get to keep Studio One at the end of that. So if you want to carry on after those 6 months, then you'd have to purchase, either Perpetual license yourself or purchase a monthly membership or an annual membership. However, one thing that is possible is something that we are calling stacking. So I'll give you an example of how this will work. If you buy an interface that gives you 6 months of Studio One Pro Plus membership for free with the device, then one thing you can do is you can go back to, let's say you bought this from Sweetwater or Toolman or somewhere like that. You can go back to Toolman and you can purchase another 6 months. 6 plus 6 equals 12. You can stack those two together and that will be the same as an annual subscription. And that will get you the perpetual license at the end. See how this works? So, yes, 6 months plus 6 months. So you could get an interface for 6 months and you could get a pair of Persona speakers. Be careful with that because not all of them actually give you software. Some of them do, some of them don't. So the best thing to do is go on the website, look at the products, and look at what you get with those products. Okay? So, because it will always tell you what you get with your product. So if you get 6 months, if you get a year, it will say so. There are some products that are maybe older products, but still available, still supported, that actually give you a choice of either the 6 months of subscription or it will give you the other option being Studio One 6 Artist. So if like the professional version is not really what you need, not really what you want something that is a little bit more kind of restricted, then Studio One 6 Artist is still available with older hardware purchases only. But newer hardware products come with subscriptions to Studio One Pro Plus only. Okay, you don't get an artist version anymore because the artist version from version 7 onwards is no more. It has gone to retirement land, where it will be hanging out with Studio One version 2 producer and Studio One Prime and all of those. That's our little software retirement home. Let's see. Mike says that's a common feature that was in Windows that I guess they incorporated into the program. Neil says Control Tab is next perspective. Shift Control Tab is previous perspective. Okay, that's handy to know. Thank you for that, Neil. Just Bob says, I finally have my computer up and running, found all my music and all but 3 third-party VSTs. I'm going to finally upload this week. Cool. That's awesome. Upgrade this week, not upload. Keith says, get 6 months and 6 months. Yeah, you can do that. Let's see. Okay, Mike is out of here because he has to go to the mall with Venus, and we are out of here as a whole because that is the end of the show. Thank you guys for the questions. There's some real gems of questions there. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for all of your questions. Billy Morgan has posted a link to the after show Zoom. So if you want to pile in and enjoy that, please do click on that link and it will open that for you. And Billy will let you in because Billy's a good guy. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for everything. And I will see you on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified. It's going to be a good show. And by the way, for those of you that enjoyed last summer's interview with Joe Gilder, if you would like me to get Joe Gilder back, please drop me an email and let me know. Or drop a comment down below once this turns into a video. If you want Joe Gilder back, says, just comment, I want Joe. And if we get lots of people commenting, I want Joe, then I will talk to Joe and I will see about getting him back on the show for more songwriting conversations, and maybe we can actually talk a little bit more about mixing and mastering from his perspective, and not just songwriting. So maybe we might be able to get him on a Sunday night. We'll see. I know Sundays are his busiest days, as they are for me, so it might not work for him, but we'll see. Thanks a lot, folks. I will see you on Wednesday. Good night, everybody.